Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Tales from the Podcast. Before I go ahead and get started, obviously I want to tell everybody to check out some of our sponsors. I'm going to be posting those into the comments for everyone to check out now. If you're into, obviously everybody wants their house to smell good. So, we have a small sponsor that goes and does these homemade horror-themed wax melts. Her name is S7E2. She does a pretty awesome job with that, and you guys can check her out at the links provided below and use our code TFTP20 and save 20% off the order there. Also, if you're into horror merch, hats, clothing, basically everything from toys to whatever the fuck you want, go to houseofmysteriousssecrets.com and check them out as well. And you can use our code 4130 there, and you can save 10%. If you're a horror collector, you know how expensive some of that shit can be, so check that out. Last but not least, check me out over at talesfromthepodcast.com, and I got some other links on there as well, some cool ones, including this nice little link where you can go and buy this fucking comic book. I will say we are working on another one, so you might want to get this one while there's still some left. And that kind of wraps it up for doing anything like that. So let me go ahead and introduce my guest for tonight, Josh, from the Joshin Show. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's a busy day. I'm actually I'm not so secretly working on a show for a client right now. I did that filming this morning.
Nice.
Then I did my own podcast. And then then just like I've been doing shows all day today. It's actually been fun. Like I'm looking forward to this. Even though this is as we talked off here, this isn't necessarily the best episode of Tales from the Crypt we've ever seen before.
Season 7 consists of everything that is not the best of Tales from the Crypt. So in going in chronological order, I kind of get fucked over on that aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, you see at this point, like you can just go, we know we're at the end of the road. We might as well try to have some fun, right? And
yeah, I try.
Sure, try. You try. I it's like we were mentioning off the air. Man, this was it could. I think the thing I will say about this episode when I watched it was it could have been better, even though it was very formulaic for sure.
Oh yeah. But before we talk too much about the episode, man, let me go ahead and at least introduce the episode to people. So,
sure, go ahead.
All right. So the episode that we're doing today is from season 7, episode 2, titled "Last Respects." It is based off the story from the same title from Tales from the Crypt, issue number 23. And this episode was released or originally aired April 26th of 1996. I was 8 years old then. Now from there on, this is one of the things that's kind of sad about this. So we have our director for this episode, who is Freddie Francis. If you're a movie guy, I'm sure you know the name. You're talking about the guy who, let's go back in, like when he started in the 60s. This guy did The Brain, Nightmare, Evil of Frankenstein, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, Hysteria, The Skull, The Psychopath, The Deadly Bees. They Came from Beyond Space. I mean, he even did the 1972 Tales from the Crypt film. He was a regular person who worked with like Peter Cushing back in the day. He did The Legend of the Werewolf, The Ghoul, I mean, these are extremely huge titles for horror fans. And then this right here was actually the last thing he did, which
Oh,
not because of the work on the episode.
yeah.
This episode came out in '96, and he was born in 1917. you know,
Oh, yeah, I know. I
yeah,
know.
yeah. He died in 2007. So he only got to live 11 years after making this one. So he was retired for 11 years basically, at least as far as directing goes.
Yes.
Now the screenplay writer for this episode though, Scott Nemerfro. He's also dead, 2016. But as far as his writing, this guy's done a ton of TV. He did 11 episodes of Tales from the Crypt,
Mhm.
which some of them are good, but not all of them. In my opinion, the best one he probably helped write was Werewolf Concerto from season
Okay.
4. But he did, like I said, this episode, he did some stuff for Perversions of Science, The Outer Limits, Stargate, The Gates. Tron Uprising. He did fucking quite a bit of that too, and not to mention he was a big producer too. So if you were, he was one of the producers for Once Upon a Time, Hannibal, Outer Limits, Weird World, Star Trek Voyager. So these are names that have been around and are pretty well known for the most part. Now, I just want to point that out before I actually get into the episode, that these people are well known and everything, because this episode doesn't seem like it was done that well. So, as far as the actual people in this, like our three main people that we have in this is we have Yvonne, who is played by Emma Samms. Emma Samms is best known for Dynasty, General Hospital, Goliath Weights, a really really big soap opera person, basically for the
Yes.
most part. We also got Carrie Fox, who plays Dolores in this episode, and Carrie Fox is known for, I mean, not nothing that I personally watched. Just to be honest, she has quite a few things in here, but like nothing really extravagant. Not even long TV runs either.
No.
So like she was basically like like TV movies, not regular movies, TV movies, and TV actress. What she do, like Fanny and Elvis,
Hmm.
40, The Gathering, Footprints in the Snow, things that literally I don't think anybody's ever seen. And I don't even know where these things all aired at, but I'm pretty sure she was worked for like Lifetime, I guess. I don't know. Like I could not recognize almost anything that she's ever been in. And we also got plays Marlis as Julie Cox. And Julie Cox is, I mean, what is she best known for? She's I'd say she's probably more well known than everybody else, except for maybe with soap opera people. But she was in Children of Dune, which is, realistically, that was pretty big for being back in the day.
Hmm.
Um, back in the day, it wasn't even that long ago, like what, 20 years. But I think I remember her most as being the Empress in the Neverending Story 3.
Yeah.
I It was a pretty big movie for me personally. But she was also in the 2000s Dune miniseries as well.
Hmm.
Byron, Headsman. She also did a little bit of TV stuff too. So she would do some episodes of like Doctor Who, things like that. So in my opinion, she was a little bit more recognizable. Now, kind of going on to this episode, which David's chiming in. And the plot of this episode seems familiar to the story. Wish you were here from this Tales from the Crypt 72 movie. Yes. You would think so. Yes. Now, there are some differences though. So, like this right here is a pretty basic kind of monkey paw story. We get the beginning, somebody dies, family ends up taking over a curio shop. They end up getting a monkey's paw, and obviously the whole you know be careful what you wish for type scenario plays out. They end up, the one girl wishes for $1 million, and they kind of get ployed into thinking they have money when there really wasn't any. And on their way back, the other sister ends up killing the one for the insurance money, which happened to be $1 million. Well, it's £1 million, my bad. And then by the end of the story, the other sister who has the monkey paw is, says she gives the wish away to her other sister who is now dead, who only wanted to spend time with that sister, and they lock her in a room with a now live corpse. And it's just your very stereotypical kind of, like I said, monkey paw issue. It wasn't a lot of real fun to watch personally, I guess. I mean, it was the acting was pretty cheesy.
So
I think you said it best though, with you could tell they were there for a paycheck.
that like sometimes, so like I have friends that work in film, right? Sometimes you go
Right.
in and it's a good script, people are excited and jazzed to be there, and then sometimes you go in sometimes because especially if you're doing syndicated television for a very, very long time. I think the thing that needs to be understood about it, even though this is an anthology series, a lot of the cast of crew had been there for a very, very long time, and after everything, all the ups and downs they've gone through, I'm sure that like the excitement was not like it's 7 years. I think everybody was like ready to call it a day, but we have to put content out there, kind of thing. And that's kind of what this episode felt like.
Yeah.
I think so. That all said, there were some things I did enjoy. There's some things I didn't enjoy. I like the burping grandma. I'll never understand for the freaking life of me. I don't get that. Like that. Like if you could take that part out completely, it would be a better episode by default, because I don't understand that at all.
No, you're completely right. And David's chiming in again, and to talk basically backing up what I just said. And yeah, you are right about the Twisted Claw episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, which surprisingly, while watching this, was the first thing that I was talking to my wife about. I was like, oh, this is just like this episode of the show. I was
Oh
like,
yeah, like it's
know,
formulaic as hell. Like in a lot
oh
of
yeah,
ways, it's a very formulaic episode, and there's nothing wrong sometimes with having. Look, again, 7 years, you're going to do some formulaic stuff. It's just the way it goes. You hope there's life in it somewhere or not, and that's kind of where I'm kind of looking at it, going, yeah, I like you could just tell that I honestly don't think anybody there had any fun either. Right. And that was the impression I got. Like it's like nobody was having fun doing this episode at all.
It's just, I don't know. To me, it's sad. Like, I mean, we have Freddie Francis, who did one of the first ever Tales from the Crypt films in the 70s, Amicus film. And then, ending his career on this same franchise and honestly failing it so fucking bad that it just pisses me off.
In okay, can I come to Freddie's defense? And I might give you.
Okay.
It's not
okay.
not a.
Right. Well, keep in mind, you're talking about somebody, first off, Freddie Francis, who is a personal, deep, huge fan of Tales from the Crypt before doing this.
Oh no. But this is one of the situations. Again, if the studio, this is the thing. I'm not sure the studio gave a crap about this episode. Like at this point in time.
Oh. Wait till I get to the comic book, and you're gonna be like, "Holy fuck, they didn't care about this at all."
No. I again, I could tell right away. Like I could literally tell right away. This is one of the. So I did a immigration show for a company, and we had to do a Christmas episode, right? I had a fun idea for it. It didn't happen, but we still had to figure out how to fit. Just imagine this is nowhere near even close to the same thing. We had to fill 10 minutes that we knew absolutely that nobody was going to watch, because it's Christmas. Nobody's going to watch an immigration thing on a Christmas day. but we still have this time to fill. And so I'm pretty sure Freddie was pretty much given his marching orders, and you could tell the studio didn't care. And because
Right.
studio didn't care, it's like if they wanted to do something interesting with the show, like I said, the script you could have done the one good thing I really enjoyed was the although it's cheesy as heck, it was at least different from a typical Monkey's Paw story. Was the murder? Like the
Yeah.
murder was at least that was something you could have really played with a little bit more, right? But no one cared, and it's too bad because that was actually probably the most interesting twist on this,
Right.
right? The
Yeah.
resentment, the sister's resentment was built in at the very very
Right.
beginning.
It was almost very Cinderella-like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that part like so you could tell like there were some things you could have done to really make this interesting.
It had potential to be something.
Yeah.
You know what it did not have for potential to be, though?
Mm.
The episode titled Last Respects. All right. And I'm going to get into this comic book a little bit and tell
Sure.
you why. All right. So the comic book basically opens up the same way with a man in the grave. He has a stuffed animal and he's trying to get into a tomb. He gets into the tomb, lays it there, and you realize that he is talking to his wife, who he married. And he's sobbing, she's dead, and he's putting the stuffed animal in there. Then you get a flashback. It's him. He's winning the stuffed animal at a carnival. Keep in mind, these comic books are from the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after finding this, talking to her and everything, he goes to leave the tomb, but the door has shut and locked behind him. He is stuck in this tomb now. Then, kind of gets fucked up because they start to get into his story. So his wife, who is Anna, she ends up dying over a broken heart because her uncle gets her marriage to him annulled because she is underage. So this comic book issue is a story of a man marrying an underage woman, her losing the will to live and dying. He goes to bring this teddy bear back to her and put it into her, coffin with her. He ends up getting locked in there and dying too. And then by the end of the comic book, and they find him, they open up the panel. It's been 30 days since he's been missing, but he just died a day ago. And they start looking around, and you realize that there was an urn that was in this tomb that he was using to collect water, and he ended up eating all of Anna's flesh to live.
Wow.
That is the comic book issue. There is no fucking wishes. There is no monkey's paw. There are no sisters. This is not the same fucking story.
The only thing that's the same is the locked ending. That's the only thing that's even remotely close to the same thing, and it's not even the same thing at all.
I would say the closest thing to the same is the beginning where they're running. And he's like, you can tell he's running from something. Except he gets into the tomb. And in the beginning of this episode, they get attacked by dogs. I mean, this is not the same fucking story. That's simple.
No, not even close. Not even close.
That is one of my biggest problems with this episode is like the fact that they, and Freddie Francis, who, like I said, is a huge Tales from the Crypt fan. He did some of the work with the original Amicus film. He could have just not done this episode. If they were really trying to force him to sit there and do something like this to an episode where they were completely disregarding every single bit of the source material, like, I'm sorry, there's a point when it's like, you know what? I can't do this.
Yep. Like I said, I'm not defending his choices. I don't know his situation. He could have needed the money. He could have just been tired. I'm not.
Yeah,
trying,
I mean, you are right there. I mean, I guess that's the case. Like, I will say now I'm kind of curious on what his net worth was at the time of death.
Yeah, it could, like I said, or maybe he owed a favor. Maybe they had a picture of him with a walrus. You don't know. Like you don't know his circumstances heading into that.
He was worth almost $5 million when he died.
Okay, so
that was 11 years after that one episode.
So I don't know what to tell you. Like maybe again, I tend to, like I said, because I have some experience in doing filming and stuff like that. I don't
Oh,
have
me
I
too.
don't yeah I don't necessarily I don't necessarily I don't know the circumstances, and the circumstances sometimes dictate certain things. For all I know, he was told, we're going to pay you a stupid pile. Okay, here's the other way. Let's go complete greed mode, because ironically this episode dealt with greed a lot, right? We'll give you £1,000,000 to
Not
do
the
this.
source material.
Yeah, not the source material. We're going to talk the television episode for a second, not the source material. Source material, although ironically the source material would have been really cheap to film too, which is really the sad part about this. It would do it, right. It would have been super cheap to make. I don't understand,
Do
but
you see my issue? Like,
yeah.
it's not
No,
like they would have been spending more money. Like,
they
in
would
fact,
actually they would have been spending.
it would have
They
been
would,
less money. There's less actors to pay.
yeah. The only issue is that maybe they didn't want to tackle the underage thing for some reason. I don't
It was the
know.
90s. I highly doubt that. I think they were more bent
I,
up
I,
on not going and talking about the cannibalistic ways.
maybe I don't know. I've seen some episodes of Terror. Sometimes I feel like they didn't give a crap about that either, depending on when you saw it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. This one's a rough one though, as far as like
No, no,
comparing the
no, no.
two.
It's tough because again, two reasons. One, you could tell no one cared, like no one. So, like I said, I don't know the circumstances behind that. Otherwise, but you could definitely tell the studio just didn't give a crap.
Right.
Nothing against the three actresses. I the second one you mentioned. I looked her up while we were talking. Working
Yeah.
class actress, working class actress. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good career, right? Julie
Yeah.
Fox had a good career. I mean, and honestly, you just look at them and you're just like, you know, they're talented people, but who knows what direction they were given? And I'm not talking from Freddie, but from the studio, right?
Right.
But it sounds to me like it was like, okay, we gotta make something. Let's just make something. Let's get this over with, and no one cared.
Right.
And like I said,
Well,
it's not.
even when you go and talk about the studio and everything, because obviously, by that point you start talking, okay, well, if we're going to be talking about the studio, we're going to be talking about the people realistically in charge of everything, which is the
Mhm.
producers, correct?
Yes.
All right. We're talking about Gilbert Adler, Richard Donner, David Giller, Walter Hill, A.L. Katz, Joel Silver, Robert Zemeckis. Every franchise between Superman and fucking Goonies.
Yep.
Let this fucking episode
I,
fly.
I still haven't forgiven Richard Donald for Quest for Peace, though. I still haven't. Right?
But
But
you see what I'm saying though. It's
yeah.
like the people even behind the scenes are such big names that it's like, all right, we got this
How?
great
Right?
director, we got these great producers. We're gonna just scrap the source material, steal the name, and make a fucking shitty remake of Monkey's Paw.
Yep. That's pretty much what they did. That I
And
mean, I'm not
like,
denying it.
like
But
it's just one of those things where it's like you were saying, it would have been cheaper to make the source material and just elaborate on that.
yeah, like honestly, like doing like the based on what you just told me about the comic, it'd be really interesting because okay, the younger would the guy be arguing in his head that she's too young for him? Or can't help his feelings for him? Like, there's a lot you could play with that on both ends of the spectrum there,
Right.
and it's a
Well,
more
in the
interesting
comic
story.
book, they were deeply in love. Their issue
Yeah,
was is that the woman lived with her uncle, and the uncle hated him.
yeah. Well,
And
exactly. But I mean, but you could okay, even taking
well,
that,
yeah, yeah.
you could
As
play with
far as
that.
like the episode, yeah. I mean, like you got to fill the time and everything, so add to it and everything. I get that, but like to completely disregard every fucking bit. I mean, Tales from the Crypt. Don't get me wrong. Every episode, for the most part, there's a handful, but they are based off of issues,
Hmm.
and they're based off of 6 to 7 page comic book stories. That's it.
Hmm.
Every one of them, for the most part, even some of the worst ones, still at the base core have the same kind of plot.
Hmm.
Sure, they might change the names, the locations, everything else, but the underlining tone is always usually the same, regardless of how many changes they make going back and forth. And I'm okay with that. I understand you have to do some kind of adaptations between 1950s and, the 90s. This has nothing.
I know.
Listen, like
No, again,
maybe it's a British thing where they're just like, ha, we're gonna fuck this up because America made it.
So maybe I don't know. All I can tell you is I'm looking at I'm trying to come at this in a like with what little I know about what was going on in production at time, right?
Right.
The only thing, the nicest thing I can say is no one gave a crap. That's the nicest thing I can say, right? And I'm right because
the nicest thing I can say is the
no, because I again I'm trying to be as much benefit of the doubt as I
No, you're right.
possibly can, and that's all I'm doing. And I because again I've seen it, I've talked to actors, I've been on some sets here and there, and I realize that there are some things that are beyond anyone's control. Like for example, here's another possibility too. They got these actresses for this episode, right? Somehow, like they were what was available. They were told like this is what they had, this is what they had to work with, and they could make something up. I don't know. Again, I'm being as completely benefit because there's timing.
No, I get what you're saying. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, the
I'm
closest
trying.
thing that I can personally come up with is that there was a different TV show, and they filmed a monkey paw episode, and then that TV show got canceled, and they still had this footage.
Yeah.
So they were like, why don't we just pretend it's this and add Crypt Keeper segments to the beginning and the end? And that's how it comes off. At least, you know, I mean,
no, you're not wrong. I would love to give you like again.
It sucks that the writer, the screenplay writer, the director for this are dead. Like I mean, and even if I talk to even if I get a hold of one of the producers for the show, it's like, are they even going to remember this specific episode?
They may not remember the episode, but they would remember the season. They could tell you they might go like this. Like I've seen this with creatives. Like, oh God, listen, I'm sorry, this was just the hand we were dealt, and not everything we can touch turned to gold. Sometimes turns to this, and I'm sorry. You're in television. Okay, Richard Donner as an example. Considering everything he's done, you're gonna strike out sometimes. Right, so you have to,
yeah.
right?
No, I get what you're saying. I mean,
yeah,
he, yeah.
Dude, I know this is your. And here's the thing that really hurts for you in particular. This is your baby. You love this stuff, and everyone's
I do.
Right. You love this stuff, right? So I'm a Green Lantern guy, right? There are some runs of Green Lantern that are.
You got
awesome.
fucked so hard on Green Lantern too, man. I get it.
yeah, no, that's just it, right? Like you go and you watch it, and you're looking at this and going, how did they do? Why? No, like how? Right. Why? Like you don't like. There's things,
like you literally got kicked in your fucking nuts, though. I get it.
No. Like again, I'm not debating that. I'm not even like debating that. Like I don't even talk about the movie very much because there's really what can I say?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, what can I say?
You don't. There's really not.
Yeah. So I understand your pain, but I also come to the conclusion that not everything is meant to be. Okay, it's strictly on the Green Lantern. Do you know what I really wish they had done with Green Lantern? What they did with Captain America. Take the concept and divide it in two, and it would have been two really strong movies instead of what I got, which was
a jumbled fucking clusterfuck of stupid shit.
Yes. They'd broken it up in two, do the Hector Hammond stuff exclusively as one movie, and then introduce the core in the second movie. It might have been good. Might have been. Fingers crossed, it might have been good. But no, that's not what they did. And I don't feel like bad, but like I think it was a good cast. It's the only thing I can really say. It was a good cast. I like the cast. I like nothing else about that movie. I wish I could. I wish I really could like that movie, but I can't, and it hurts. And yeah, and I understand your pain. So all I wish to say, I get your pain. I really, really do.
Oh, I know.
I don't have a good answer. Like, dude, I'd give you a hug if I could. I really.
You know, I appreciate that, Josh. I mean,
yeah, no, I would, because I get
that's
it.
realistically probably the best you could do. And
yeah.
Thank you.
That's like if I because I don't as much like it doesn't change the fact that at the end of the day that there are little glimmers of good things in this episode. There's a lot of shit in the middle. I'm being very kind when I say that again. Right? There's a lot of things right, but at the end of the day, like the product just was what it was, and I don't have a good answer as to why, and I wish I did, and I'm sorry.
I get it. You know what though? I don't have much else to say about this episode.
No.
I mean, there really isn't a lot, unfortunately.
Actually,
I mean,
can I ask this? This is just a
personal.
personal. Season 7. Is there a good episode in season 7?
I guess first off, you would have to define good.
Can I watch it and not cringe like I did at this one?
The entire episode?
I would be happy with 90%. I'll give you 90%.
90%. Let me go ahead and take a small peek and see what we got here.
Yeah, I'm just curious because
there's some that are like, it's like you would think, and they get close, but no, because what is it? Cold War. I mean, we got Ewan McGregor in that episode. We got there's parts of it where it's good, and it just certain things just don't hit the fucking mark on it. Here Today, Gone Tomorrow. I mean, that's that one's kind of an entertaining one for the first kind of. It's a weird one, that's for sure. But that one I would say is one of the better ones in this one.
Okay.
And that's still like almost the last. I mean, I will say flat out that they end this episode or this season on like one of the shittiest things that you could ever do in an episode. So the last episode is called The Third Pig.
Oh God.
An animated version of Three Little Pigs on Tales from the Crypt.
Oh no.
And Bobcat Goldthwait is in it as a voice.
That when you said Three Little Pigs, I was just like, that hurts me just hearing it. I don't
dude, it's bad. It's
bad.
It's real bad.
So
we do have an episode too, which is episode 9 called Smoke Wings, which is it's kind of like a scientific kind of plant kind of thing, and a prisoner exchange type thing too going on. But a younger, this is 1996, Daniel Craig is in that.
Cool.
And I mean, you get certain things that are kind of cool that you get to see, like a younger Eddie Izzard, and things like that, which are cool seeing these things. But I wouldn't say that seeing all these things makes the episodes better.
Okay.
So
buddy, this is what we're gonna do. I don't know if you noticed, I'm taking my show on the road in the second half of this year.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I plan on it. Yeah, so so officially, I'm going to invite you before I do that. I'm going to invite you back on my podcast before that happens. First off, but second, if I do come meet you face to face somewhere along the journey, this is what we'll do. You're going to give me, so I'll watch a crappy one with you so I can give you that hug I promised. Then we'll watch a good then we'll watch a good one.
All right, we'll be going all the way back to season 2, man. I'll show you some of my favorites.
So I'm just saying. So that's a deal. Like that's it.
Oh,
We'll watch a crappy one so we can get that hugging and therapy and then a little crying out because I understand
it's going to be needed.
Yeah. Okay. But after that, we'll go watch some of the good ones, the ones that you really love, that really made you love the series. Because honestly, and I think this is maybe the best way to wrap this up. It's like this might be so. You'll appreciate the pun. The zombie Simpsons era of Tales from the Crypt, right? That's where you're at right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the fact that some of the coolest horror stories of all time come from this franchise. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. So.
Sometimes you were not wrong there, and I guess it's one of those scenarios where I'm a huge fan of the comic books, so I mean you can't really see a lot of it because I mean it's slowly been covered up by toys and everything else over here, but on the back walls on all the shelves behind me are rows and rows of the comic books.
Yeah,
so I mean, at least I get those.
Yeah, and there's some, and like I said, there's some really good stories. And again, the '50s era of Tales from the Crypt is some of the EC Comics era, which is some of the best comics of all time. Not just the era, all time. And
Oh yeah.
I speak of this as a comic fan. Like that's really really good stuff. And so I mean, you get that, and it's okay. Like I said, there's like I'm a Green Lantern fan. I got Green Lantern Rebirth from Jeff Johns, but I also got the Green Lantern movie from Jeff Johns. And you take the good with the bad, right?
No, I understand that. I really do.
Yeah. So.
Um, Now I do have to ask you before we go ahead and start wrapping this up, which I mean, obviously we're getting close to that point. If you had to rate this episode between a 1 and a 10, and keep in mind that I will tell you where IMBD rates this episode. So IMBD puts
One being bad, 10 being
oh yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Okay.
Keep in mind IMBD gives this episode, and I personally think this is fucking insane. They give it a 5.7 out of 10.
I give it a 3.
3?
I give it a 3.
Okay.
I here's the thing. There's a lot of bad, but there are some good moments. There are some good moments. I think the twist is actually interesting. I wish they had explored it more because they put the seeds in it were really well done. I like for all I will say about what is there to hate about this episode, the seeds planted in here, right, are like lead to that murder. Fantastic. It's some of the best stuff it's the best thing about that episode, bar none. And it's good enough to knock it up 2 points. Right? So I'll give it a 3.
Right. I will say that I'm going to agree with the 3, and I'm with that 3. I want to go ahead and also point out a review on Tales from the Crypt this episode. And the only thing I'm going to sit there is put in there is the title of the review, which is one of the worst Tales from the Crypt episodes. I just feel like everybody needs to know that it's really not a good episode whatsoever. There's 3 reviews on here. One person gave it a 3, one gave it a 4, one gave it a 10, which does not make sense on why they give it a 10.
No, it's watching the world burn, Justin. It's watching the world burn.
I think they did it just to start shit. So,
I mean, honestly,
they're skewing the numbers really bad.
Yeah, no, it's a 3. Like it was like no one cared, and that's and again, I'm being incredibly, I might be a little generous saying that no one cared. I don't think they came in there to do a bad job, but they just came to do a job, and it shows in the final presentation. It's too bad because again, it's not all bad. As like there's like it's okay. I watched Blood Rain. That's all bad. Like,
I've watched all those too.
Yeah.
But by the way, I was sitting there looking at that review as you were talking, and you were like, you said the perform, like they were talking about the actors, like everything was bad. This is a direct line from the 10 out of 10 review. Performance of Emma Samms, Carrie Fox, and Julie Cox was good. They were like a typical group of 3 sisters that had a lot of problems. So obviously this person maybe this is the only episode they ever seen to compare it to something. That's the only thing that makes sense at this point.
Drugs might have been like the other
possibility. I mean,
the thing.
So we're pretty sure that Alexander the Draconian might be a crackhead.
Possibly. So, well, I will not judge whatever substance you use there.
I mean, I don't judge. I'm just saying that because you were in an altered state when you wrote that.
Yeah, you might have been listening to like White Zombie while you were watching this episode. It's possible, but I will I will say, the reason why I don't think again they didn't care. Little things sisters do to each other to torment each other are always again, as someone who has a sister and knows how siblings kind of behave.
I got
with
two
each other.
daughters on top of having sisters.
Oh, so you especially know that. So you just know, like, no, they don't act like that ever in a million years. Even they despise each other. There'd be like these little things they do to each other that they just grew up around each other. None of that existed at all, right? So
it was not very realistic whatsoever. No. But we get what we get. This is season 7, and I'll be continuing it with the next episode from season 7. Which
you are a brave soul. You are a brave soul.
I made a promise to make it through this, and I'm going to do it. Mostly because then I get to do something better than season 7.
Well, so, actually, what do you do? What do you do after season 7? If you don't mind my asking.
Well, I mean, I'm going to do some small other episodes. So obviously, I've done all 5 Tales from the Crypt movies: the 3 from the 90s, 2 from the 90s, 1 from the early thousands, the 2 Amicus films. I'm going to do a couple episodes probably on the Tales from the Crypt Keeper animated series as well. Nice. Which, I mean, I have to talk about it. I've done everything else, and I'll probably do at least a little bit of a talk on the Tales from the Crypt video game that never got made, as well as the 1 season of the Crypt Keeper's Haunted House, the Tales from the Crypt game show that nobody remembers.
I did not remember until you mentioned it, and I do remember it now. It was
bad. It was like
bad,
Legends of the Hidden Temple meets Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, but it was better than this. I mean, I'm just saying that right now.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah. But then after that, I'm going to be throwing out a poll and letting people choose which next anthology series I go through.
Ooh.
I will say that there are some where, I mean, I got one that I want to do. It's like 6 episodes, and I got like a whole group of people that want to join every episode of that. But I mean, it's just like, that one, for instance, is Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which stars one of my favorite actors, Matt Berry, who is fucking hilarious. But, I mean, between stuff like that, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps, Twilight Zone, I mean, I have tons, even Tales from the Dark Side. I have tons of horror anthology shows where I can take this show. So
that's cool.
I will be letting the audience vote on where it's going to go, though.
So before we wrap up, then I also say this, then congrats. Like, honest to God, congrats for getting through this. Congrats for doing a very cool concept, and I can't wait to see what you do next, man.
Right. Well, I mean, I could still fail. I got 11 more episodes in this season to make it through.
Like I said, just look at it this way: we'll meet in person, give you a big hug, right? Let you cry. It's okay.
Well, you gotta let me know when you start heading out, man. That's for damn sure.
It looks like I'm heading out. It's going to be, there's an event in Calgary called Windwards Collide. My goal is to be on the road right after, start out right after. It'll probably be in August when I officially go. Yes. And when I go, no, man, I can't wait. I have been blessed on my show to meet so many amazing people, including you. I gotta meet some of you in person. I just have to. It's been part of the fun.
You let me know, man, and we'll make it happen. That's
damn sure. Right. Damn right.
I'm definitely down for that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, before we go ahead and wrap shit up, you got our ratings and everything. Obviously, you know that this episode sucks. So if you want to watch it, watch it on your own time. You want to tell me what you thought about it? As long as you didn't like it, then yeah. If you like this episode, just go spew your shit over on IMDb and let them know, because I'm not gonna care.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't really get that kind of the host of a podcast usually doesn't say that.
I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand, but
right. It makes sense. It's just like, wow, he actually said it. So
hey, listen. It takes a certain maturity to admit that sometimes the things you love don't always have good things that come with it. And you owned it. You owned it. I'm proud of you.
Right.
This is why I don't talk about the Green Lantern movie, folks. Ever.
I get it. Now, before we go ahead and get out of here, though, I do want to share some things, and obviously we want you to be able to promote everything, and I got all of your links going to me and Pastor and everywhere else, so you can check out everything that Josh has going on, his podcast over at Twitch. You got your WordPress and your Podomatic, which I'm assuming is just a lot of your podcast.
The audio version of the podcast.
So I mean, tons of shit there. I mean, you can check him out. I got that posted on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So check him out. Give him a follow. I mean, you do so much. It's kind of hard to even put you in one category.
So how do I put this?
Like I met you as a writer.
I'm still writing.
But you know what I mean though. Like all the things that I promote for that just promoted for don't really have a lot to do with how I met you.
It's where I'm at right now. Like
I will say it is kind of a cool turnaround doing the monkey's paw story, which even though it has nothing to do with us, and kind of basing it around like where I met you and how that worked out, because it's like that's an old story that's been redone so many times, and yours wasn't like an old story that was redone, but yours was taking and combining these other stories to make this one plot through. So I mean, there was still like some kind of a similarity there between like the whole rehashing of certain at least characters.
Wait till you see my next few releases, my friend. I got Alice going into the House of Fate, which is through the Looking Glass. It is a trip, let me tell you.
Why am I not surprised? I'm sure I'll be getting it. So
so I got that. So actually, I'll tell you the other thing I'm really excited to work on. I came up with a female version of Parker. Like I made her. I asked myself a really interesting question. We don't have time to go in great detail, but what is a good person and how would that come to be? And I used the code of honor system from the Parker novels for my main character here. She used to be an assassin. Now she's trying to be better. And it's an interesting journey. And the Knights of the Round are actually like evil inverted assholes. So I make Percival like an evil used car salesman / genie that you want to punch in the face. It's been a blast, all right, so far.
Well, I mean, you let me know when you're getting close. We'll get you on again. Hopefully everything correlates at the same time in August. And it's like, hey, we're going to promote all this stuff.
Actually, do you know what? So whenever you let me know what your next anthology is, I'll tell you what. You let me know when you get there. And then from there, we'll talk and we'll figure out the right place at the right time to drop all this in. Because for Alice especially, right? If you've got like a haunted house kind of episode, that would be like the perfect one to bring that.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see where the show goes. I mean, putting it in the audience's hands with voting can leave it open to what the fuck ever happens. So but it'll be fun. But anyways, let's go ahead and get out of here. So check Josh out, follow him, check out his Twitch, especially check out his Twitch. I mean, obviously you can follow him on Facebook and stuff too. But do you have anything else that you want to say before we get out of here?
Justin, it's always a pleasure to hang out with you, man. It's a lot of fun. Even though it wasn't the greatest episode in the world to watch, I enjoyed.
Everyone's gonna hate me this whole season. Everyone's gonna be like, "Why the fuck is he even bringing me on this season?" It's like,
dude, you know what? Honestly, after the day I've had, this was actually kind of nice to actually just hang out with Bud. So it's all good.
I appreciate that, man, and obviously the same goes for you. I mean, I've had many people that I've never asked to come back on.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking shit about those people, but you get connections with other people and you want to talk with them more.
Yeah.
So obviously, if somebody's on more than once, I mean, there's a little bit more respect there. I mean, I guess I am in a way talking shit about those people. Hopefully, they don't watch this episode though. So, anyways, man,
I love your honesty, man. Thank you. Thank you, by the way.
No, dude, no problem, man. But dude, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for enjoying this piece of shit episode with me. The next one I will make sure is not as much of a piece of shit, hopefully.
That's fine.
So with that being said, guys, the crypt is closed. We're getting the fuck out of here. Bye.
Thanks for listening, kiddies. You're all a scream.